ACES interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Raimie.
Hello and welcome to ACES interview conversation to empower. I'm Leo, coach and speaker. I'm joined today by Rachel Marie, also known as Ronnie, a blogger who frankly declares her life as a disabled person with Spastic Quadriplegic Cerebral Palsy, Dystonia. Ronnie discusses her fashion opinion, recommendation, as well as disabled life rants, showbiz gossip, and some uplifting mental health support. Thank you so much for joining me, Ronnie. I read in your blog that you met Johnny Depp last year, who encouraged you to share your story. What was it like to receive that encouragement from a well-known celebrity?
Wow, I can't really put it into words. I still struggle now. I look back and I think, oh my God, did that actually happen? But yeah, to have him say thank you for sharing my story with him, because I briefly told him about it. And before I went to the concert meet and greet, I did a fan project where I got loads of letters from his disabled fans who wouldn't necessarily make the concert because of transport issues or whatever, and passed this book on to him to read later on. So that was really cool that I got to do that for everybody, and it was like taking my Instagram followers along with me.
Wow, that's amazing. So you said that you collected a book together of other fans, and was it a book of their messages to Johnny Depp?
Yeah, it was talking about how much we all love and adore him. And it was for his 60th birthday. I mean, I can't believe that man is 60. He still looks like he's 40. So, hi, Johnny, if you're listening. Um, and it was just a little bit about how their stories, about how he's helped them over the years and got them through some really tough times, and just photos, anything they wanted to share with him, really. In those 2 pages, they had like unlimited things that they wanted to say, and some of the stories were really heartfelt. And as I was editing them, I got to know sort of my followers on Instagram personally as well. So it took our interaction to another level.
Yeah, I bet, because, on Instagram, I think it's so easy to kind of not really have any connection with followers. I guess when someone has it quite a through that more possible, but by the sound of it, what you did by collecting those messages for Johnny Depp, you were able to connect with your audience on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I was sort of able to access them a backstage pass in a way, and a way that they would know that their letters are getting across to Johnny. I mean, because he gets thousands of fan mail every day. So, he's not going to have time to read them all. So it was really important to me that they had their stories in the book and they had their 5 minutes with him through these letters.
Yeah, that really empowering, not only for those people on Instagram who had messages for Tony, but also, I guess, for yourself.
Yeah, it was kind of one thing that I could do to give back to my Instagram community, because I started my Instagram in 2022, and I had just gone through a really bad time. I sort of had a second breakdown. I'd sort of moved out and moved into my own house, and I was really struggling. So the using the Into the Depth was a great way to give me a purpose. And those followers and those fans have been with me through it all, really, and some of them are really good friends to me to this day.
Wow, that really amazing to hear. That leads me nicely onto my next question. What do you find empowering?
What do I find empowering? I guess I find music very empowering. I listen to a lot of 80s rock music because my mum brought me up on the best of the 80s with my auntie. So it was kind of like Alice Cooper, Twisted Sister, Slash, Black Sabbath, those kind of bands. But also I find the keyboard really empowering, and I also found books really empowering. And I found that from a young age, because when I was sort of 2 or 3, my sister would be put on the naughty step if she was naughty, and I couldn't, because I couldn't sit myself up. So my mum used to strap me into this activity chair that we had given to us by the OT, and she'd sit there and make me write a 5-page story. And she quickly cottoned on that it wasn't a punishment, because I just got so invested um, in writing as well. So I'm really glad that she gave me that outlet from a young age.
Well, no, actually, your mum's attempt of punishment was actually your way into creative writing.
Yeah, because even before I started school, she told me that I was kind of like written off by teachers. I was just another disabled kid who wasn't going to go very far. And she took these stories in and showed them, sit with her and have the patience for 10 minutes just to talk to her. And you'll see she's much more than her medical diagnosis. She has the ability to go far just as much as any student. And I've always sort of relied on the philosophy that just because my legs don't work doesn't mean my brain doesn't. So I always feel that academically, I always have to go above and beyond, because I don't have the luxury of a physical job to fall back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely resonate with that. And I think, like, with schooling, I think we're similar kind of age, but maybe when we were at school, kind of integration of disabled children in mainstream school was only really uh, getting going. And I think you're right, as disabled people, we do have to work that much harder to kind of prove ourselves, which is completely incorrect, but unfortunately, it is a reality.
Yeah, and I completely get that. And it's not the case of, oh, well, you should feel sorry that for us because we have to work that much harder. It's not that case at all. We don't want people's pity as disabled people. We just want to be considered as regular students. And I'm grateful that I've had teachers throughout my education that have treated me like a regular student, and then there have been, unfortunately, some other teachers that haven't. But I suppose with all batch of apples, there's always a rotten one in each batch. So, you take it as it comes. But education is something that I found solace in. I found solace in knowledge and writing, especially reading and researching. It was just where I thrived.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the aim is not for pity or to be treated any differently. It's just to be treated the same, but maybe with the occasional adjustment where we need it.
Yeah, I agree with you, because as a disabled student, I didn't I didn't want equality as in so much as I wanted accommodations to my disability. For example, I think it was wrong that I had to join in with PE lessons as a teenager and participate like any other student, when in that case, it's not the same thing. Um, and that, I get that everybody has body issues in their teenage years, but that really amplified that for me, was that I was so much weaker than everybody else. Um, and and that I was so different, and it was just kind of humiliating. I think that's where the line between equality and accommodations gets crossed a lot. People confuse disabled people wanting equality to be treated like everybody else. And we do in a way, but we also want accommodations where appropriate.
Exactly. It's about equity is rather than always equality, you know. Making the adjustment so we can even out the playing field. Yeah, instead of always including um disabled people were actually not really of any benefit to us, like in the case of when you said about PE.
Yeah, if anything, I think it just makes, I'll be quite frank. I mean, I always am on my blog, so I promised myself that I would be here. But I think it made the teachers feel better that they were including me, because they had no idea, they had no window into my world in regards to the physical limitations that I faced. And I think it was just a tick box to say that the school was accessible for all students throughout the curriculum.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of tick boxing exercises which you go on that, even nowadays, which is a shame because ticking a box of filling in a form doesn't really help people in reality, does it?
No, it doesn't, because not everybody's going to treat you the same in real life.
Is
That's,
that
that's certainly what I found. And I mean, I didn't really I say that I experienced discrimination in small ways when I was in school, but it wasn't until I actually went to university and got accepted as a university student that I saw how massively disabled students in universities are um, left to their own devices and are under-supported, really. I mean, I got asked by my university after 6 weeks of studying there to leave, because they thought my disability was too complex for me to handle student life, all because I decided to transfer myself on a toilet, and I didn't want to wait for the carers, because obviously I wanted to maintain that dignity. And obviously I got stuck whilst trying to get back into my chair. And it wasn't that I called for my flatmate to ask them to physically lift me back in my chair. I simply just wanted them to be there to watch me in case I fell. And that apparently was a big no-no in the university's eyes, because that was a massive indicator to them that I wasn't coping. You know, it was a massive indicator to them that I wasn't coping, because I complained within my first week how inadequate the university was to accommodate disabled students in regards to lowered tables in lecture halls and automatic doors. And I think because I spoke up about those things, and was quite feisty about them, they didn't like that I was questioning their authority as the best university in my area for disabled students, especially.
It definitely feel like ableism in education is kind of more prevalent when we get to university level. I've spoken to other people who have had sort of similar experiences where universities are not very they don't want to hear what disabled children had to say. And yeah, I think, it needs to change and not get it out where we're there, because we've got that just like any non-disabled person, and why should we have struggled with could easily be looked at and be overcome.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, education, there have been happy times for me, I will say, during my comprehensive years. I'll go back a little bit. The music department for me were a massive source of support. You know, they built a ramp so that I could get on stage, because I was sort of the second disabled student to actively take part in school productions, and in school choirs, because a lot of the time the children who had disabilities were taken out of enrichment lessons like music and art, and were taken to the base room where the support staff were, and sort of focused on maths and English. But because I refused to be labeled, I, and I didn't need that support. I was fine. I mean, okay, I got a D in maths GCSE, but um, I didn't. I feel like I was going to be missing out more on education and time with my peers if I wasn't in those lessons. And a lot of disabled students don't have access to the arts, and I think that's terrible.
And I really don't think that there's enough awareness about that, about what you said. People treated art, taken out of art, drama, music. When you were talking, I was thinking back to what I went to a private school, secondary school, and I remember that my parents had to actually buy rants for me to get the into certain buildings on the school ground. I was thinking that art, yeah, art was upstairs. I couldn't get out there. I had to have art on my own with a different teacher. Drama, I mean, we're talking about, oh God, over 20 years ago. Drama back then wouldn't be allowed now. But my parents bought like a horse bag, and the drama teacher and three other members of staff would actually carry me up to drama. I mean, nowadays that would be, covered in red tape. But yeah, like you said, it takes people to actually talk up and say, no, I want to do art, I want to do drama like my peers, and I will not be left out.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I'm also happy that you had the support of your parents who, didn't back down with you. And but I think it's terrible that you had to, buy your own equipment when, a school provides equipment for able-bodied students, so why shouldn't it for its disabled students? And I loved art, music, and drama. And then, sort of, when I studied my A levels with my comprehensive school, um, I went to our sister school to take my drama lessons. And all of a sudden, it was, oh, well, there's no point you being here because you won't be an actress because of your disability. You won't get the full marks in the exam because of movement. Um, you won't be able to access the stage like the other students. Um, and basically, what she was saying was, I don't have the time to sit and babysit you and change my teaching ways just because of one student. And I left there and I was crushed. I mean, this was only my second day of drama A level, and this woman that was telling me that I couldn't achieve my dream, which is what I initially wanted to be, which was an actress. And I left there and I was crushed. And that really, among other things as well, that really kicked off my poor mental health in a way. Shortly after I got diagnosed with depression, I went into a depressive spiral. Um, and it was just a really horrible time. And I went to my school to complain, and I went to the educations officer and I said, look, this teacher is denying me access to her curriculum. So she actually looked it up, and this teacher did not have to teach this movement module. And she actually said this to the teacher over the phone. And she said, I'm looking at the prospectus now of all the modules that you can teach, and you do not have to teach that one. You could easily accommodate our student, except you choose not to. And it was not only that, when with the drama A level, like I when I actually went to that sister school, their only sort of main way of access was a portable ramp. That was it, and one disabled toilet. And because I wasn't allowed to travel with a member of staff with me who was able to toilet me, I was told to go to the bathroom at 12:30 before the taxi would pick me up for my drama lessons. And then I wouldn't get home maybe past gone 6 because the taxi wouldn't pick me up till 4:30, 5 o'clock. And so I wouldn't be using the bathroom until 6:30. And that was really horrible for me. And it's how I ended up with a catheter, because obviously I was holding in urine for too long and I had spinal issues, and both of those things don't go together. So it was a really tough time. And when I started to complain to the member of staff who was responsible for all the manual handling, it was only this one member of staff, because all the other staff had been outsourced to other schools, because they were so stretched in the county, and there were a lot of disabled children in primary schools that needed support workers, which I understand. But then she would say to me, I don't know what you're complaining for. You're moaning. And I said, I'm moaning about wanting to use the toilet when I want to instead of being timetabled. That's complaining to you, and that's whining. And she actually called me a snob. And this was the person that was supposed to be the one person to help with all my accessibility needs in school or my personal care. And she just completely demoralized me. And it was a massive, time where I was just going to school and I was thinking, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be here. It got to the point where I just didn't want to be on the planet at all, just because I just felt like I wasn't listened to. The dream that I originally wanted to pursue was cut off. I was just told to drop that drama A level because of the problems. And it's not as if I could go to any of the regular members of staff of the school to tell them about this teacher and her bullying, because I knew the outcome would be, oh, we're so short of staff who are able to be manual handling, in regards to, the support workers, which had nothing to do with the teachers themselves. But I knew it would be, oh, but it will be awkward to place somebody else instead of this teacher there. So I knew not to kick up a fuss about it. It was just terrible.
Beyond words, really, that awful experience and unsettled that you had to go through that. And I think, like, non-disabled people just don't understand the impact of it. You said that experience with that teacher, was at the beginning of your spiral with your mental health. And I think, non-disabled people just don't realize how little things, like, not even a little thing, a big thing, but non-disabled people don't even think about, not being able to go to the toilet for 6.5 hours. Oh, that okay, that doesn't matter. Yes, it does. You try harder. You'll be like the decision. Oh, that would. Yeah, absolutely. Just make my blood boil.
And I mean, everybody who knows somebody with cerebral palsy knows our bladders aren't the best at holding things in, especially with startle reflex. I'll be honest, there are times where kids in school have set off my startle reflex deliberately, where they've banged on tables as I've walked by, and it's been like, oh shit, peed myself just a little bit, and it's demoralizing. It's horrible. So that led to me having to have a permanent catheter in. Um, I woke up one morning before my English literature A level exam, and I hadn't been feeling very well prior, and I'd suffered with my spinal issues for about 2 years now, after I fell off the back of a tail lift ramp in my wheelchair due to the attendant's negligence. She told me to reverse back, and I reversed back. The ramp wasn't there, so I actually fell off the ramp and landed straight onto my back. There was a massive crack going down my wheelchair, and as I was crying out in pain, this woman was telling me to shut up, it'll be okay, you silly girl. And I remember that day. So going back to the day before my A level exam, I woke up and my legs were really hurting. So my mum let me stay off school. She knew I was struggling with my mental health. So she sort of said, take a mental health day, get yourself in the best frame of mind for your exam, take some painkillers, chill out, have a bath. Because what a lot of people don't realize is how bad muscle pain impacts on a disabled person, especially when you're dealing with tight muscles. And I woke up that morning and I couldn't actually go to the toilet. I physically needed to go to the toilet. And I tried everything I could to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't go completely. It was just if my bladder and my brain weren't talking to each other. And so I ended up going down to A&E, where they stuck a catheter in me, and they said it was because of my disc impingement that my bladder had stopped working, and also holding in urine for hours at a time. And they actually drained 900 mils of urine from my small bladder in that space of time. And it was just, and then I had to stay in hospital for, I think it was 2 weeks. And because my back was so bad, and my mum kind of admitted that we were struggling without hoists at home because my mum was lifting me, they wouldn't let me home. So I had to wait until my parents moved house. And I had to wait until the hoisting equipment was installed before I could go home. I had steroids injected into my back under guided x-ray, and they were supposed to last me 6 weeks, and they lasted me 2. And then I had a morphine pump fitted, and that was terrible. I reacted badly to the baclofen pump, that they tried, because I have a thing where if I take too much of this medication, this baclofen, I get really aggressive. So I find I need a lower dose than recommended for teenagers my age. So I was reacting really badly to that. The nurses were having to watch me like a hawk. I was really volatile. My mum in the end was just like, take the baclofen pump out. So then they tried a morphine pump, and apparently, I don't remember this, but friends came to visit me, and I didn't know what day of the week it was. My boyfriend came to visit me, and he was like, you were just gone. You were just flying so high. You didn't even care that you didn't have lipstick on, or or that I was seeing you without your makeup on for the first time. It was, and in the end, my mum was like, well, how far do we go? How far can we push this morphine issue to get the chronic pain under control? And in the end, they had no answers, so I had it taken out. I didn't need a morphine addiction on top of the painkillers I was already addicted to.
My goodness me. And I'll follow the character, and I can't help thinking that, your bladder issues, if you had to keep you in, not being allowed to go to the toilet for so long, treating your school, and I know that probably wasn't the only cause, that I'm sure that would not have helped your situation. And I'm so sorry for beyond the words, everything you told me there. I'm gonna move on to my next question. I believe that we're gonna go forward, and I would like to ask you, what difference you would like to see or make in the world?
I'd like to see more representation of disabilities in the media, and I would like to be a disability influencer, because there was no such job when I was around, when I was a teenager. I mean, we had YouTubers, but there was nobody out there like me talking about these things, talking about chronic pain, talking about incontinence, talking about sex and relationships and disability and boyfriends. It was just as if there was nobody for me to look up to in that respect. And so that's what I want to change, and that's why I've started taking my advocacy journey seriously. in the past sort of 3 months or so. So all that I've achieved has been directly as a result of 3 months of hard work. And a lot of people at first were like, well, you're just going on your blog complaining about things. Shouldn't you be grateful? And I said, complaining about things isn't the same way as highlighting an issue and highlighting where there's a massive gap of needs not being met with care agencies or what have you. Because somebody out there is probably going through the same things that I am, and feels like they have nobody to look up to know, okay, there's going to be a bit of a rough patch, but you'll get through this. And this is what you need to do. This is what rights you're entitled to. This is what you're entitled to say. You know, and so that's the change I want to make. I just want visibility, and I don't just want our disabilities to be used as token characters in films. I want us to be featured as parents, as, you know, as people with careers, you know, because even with feminine hygiene products, pregnancy tests, you do not see one disabled woman on gym adverts, advertising for gym memberships. You do not see one para athlete. And it's just things like that. The small things can have a detrimental effect on somebody's confidence, because it plays into the stereotype of, well, you can't do this because you're disabled. So I'm rallying against the stereotypes, if you will, and trying to change them. I'm not saying that I'm always right, but I believe in advocating for the disabled adult and not letting us being walked over and treated like children, where it's not appropriate, where we have the autonomy to know from right or wrong. We know and understand what consent is, and we understand what consequences are and what's going to happen if something goes wrong, if you choose this choice, whatever.
I agree. I think those of us who have a voice, and you know, I don't think that we should feel that our duty to teach others as an, but if we have a voice and we want to use our voice and our story to educate and increase awareness and knowledge, I think we have to do so. And I think your story is a very powerful one and can educate a lot of people, disabled and non-disabled. I think, people with disabilities, we also need education. I know, I'm constantly learning from other people with other disabilities. But yeah, I think sharing one story is a way that we can definitely, hopefully, make the world a bit more aware.
And I just want to say, like, not all my experiences have been bad, because of my supportive mum and my grandparents, my sister, and my father. I've grown up and had a very loving and secure childhood. So please don't think when you finish this interview that it's all doom and gloom with me. It's just those are the major things that have impacted me over the years. But it was because I felt so safe and secure with my family that I've been able to explore every aspect of my identity, and discovering my disability pride, if you will. I was treated exactly like my able-bodied sister, and a lot of people say that disabled people come across as entitled or snobs because they want to be treated differently, even though they say they want to be treated all the same. And that's not the case. Like, if I screwed up as a kid, I screwed up. I was, you know, I wasn't treated any different from my sister, apart from obviously the physical side of things where I needed my mum's help. But, I've had some wonderful opportunities, taking part in a lot of Amdram. Just my my parents and my grandparents have always let me explore my outside hobbies and interests, and have always encouraged me to be more than my disability. Don't just make it the one-dimensional factor about your personality. That sometimes, and I'm saying sometimes, some people, especially when they're just learning about their disability pride and how they feel about their identity with the disability, sometimes they can come across as, or they want the focus to be 100% on their disability, to be seen as an inspiration. And I know that will cause a lot of controversy with people, but I don't want to be seen as an inspiration. I want to be seen as normal. I want to be seen as a woman, because I'm a woman first. I have thoughts and feelings, and I'm a disabled person second. And, you know, I often think that this is where we're going wrong in society, is that we infantilize disabled people, we take away their sexuality and their gender identity, their dreams and aspirations, and we just try to fit them into a box to make able-bodied people more comfortable. I think because people don't know how to respond or accommodate to us, because it's still fairly new in terms of disability integration. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely do, and I agree with what you said about inspiration. For me, it's about empowerment, not 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 being an inspiration, but more empowering others. So I think I really agree, and I understand where you're coming from, and I think what you said about you're a woman, but your person, but then you're disabled. I think the world still need to catch up with that, because when we're out in society, very often that we're seen as disabled person, that kind of that counteracts our gender or sexuality, and that we are people, we have sexuality, we have desires, we have identity, just like non-disabled people.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's what I want people to perceive me as. And, some people who are not in this community and yet are fans of this podcast will probably call me a snob and say that I'm entitled, and well, they're happy to think that. But I know the truth, and I know that I'm I'm a woman first and a disabled person second, and that it's my dreams and aspirations and my personality that matter more to another person, to another human being, than my disability and my medical diagnosis does.
Well, I can tell you, if anyone watching this thing single is up, they will have me on the so I would worry about that. I'll be making sure that does not happen. Another, it's a valid point on how non-disabled people can stand up think that we feel entitled because he want to teach him as everyone else, but at the same time, we want to be treated differently. And I think, it's not like straightforward. We are constantly repressed and not seen as our true self. So we will have to have that out there, unfortunately. But where and how can people connect with you?
Oh, you can connect with me on my blog, which is Disabled Darling, and it's darling with an H instead of an R, so it's pronounced darling. And also the same on Instagram, it's Disabled Darling. Just give me a message or, email me. There's an email button on my Instagram. Just connect with me anyway. I'm happy to meet anyone, and I look forward to hearing what people think of this interview.
Right, and I'll share all your social media links and your blog also with this interview. And I do recommend anyone watching it that has a read of Granny's blog. It really is insightful and she covers a whole host of very interesting topics. So thank you again to my guest, Marie. Thank to everybody who watched this. Check out all the other conversations and find out more about my coaching and speaking at leo80.co.uk, and 80's interview will be that soon with another powerful conversation. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for having me on, Leo.
Thanks for watching Ace's interview. Find out more about Raimie in the show notes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.